Trik lama. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Uh,
Welcome to program number 3, episode 3 of Trick Lama.
Lama.
Trik
Okay.
lama.
So we have with us an old friend,
An old young friend.
an old young friend. Gulamo gitu, member lama gitu.
Set kita.
Set kita. Oh.
Dah mula dah.
Di Trick Lama ni.
Ni.
So we have with us this guest was actually our very first guest when we launched our podcast series. Okay. At that
Yeah.
time, he was the Natural Resources, Energy and Climate Change Minister.
Hmm.
Today, he's back with us again in the studio. We will call this a studio after 6 months. And in his new capacity as the Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability, Menteri Sumber Asli dan Kelestarian Alam. Still a mouthful. Our good friend, yang berhormat Nik Nazmi, Nik Ahmad.
Yes. Welcome.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming back,
Hmm.
and thanks for doing this on such short notice.
Yeah.
So Nick, how has it been the last few months? A lot has happened. Your ministry has been halved, so I assume your workload has also been halved.
I wish. I thought so. But I think actually, one of the positive sides of the reshuffle of the cabinet, it allows me to go and do things more in depth in my portfolio. So, with previously it was NRECC, Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change. Now it's Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability. The name doesn't seem much, right? The change in the name, but in practice, electricity, water, flood, and even wastewater is now taken out, and it's now a new ministry called Petra, Energy Transition and Water Transformation.
Yeah.
So I think the good thing is that, as I said, it allows me to be more focused on what the other half of the old ministry, which basically, I mean, in short, it deals with managing our resources and dealing with the acute triple planetary crisis. So it's like a way, like a DC or Marvel thing, right? So I can't complain.
Yeah.
So I would say climate change is a lot more, that term climate change is, controversial, very confrontational. So environmental sustainability is more, business friendly, I suppose. It's more practical,
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Kelestarian alam dengan
Okay. Well, I think for one is that we are. It's more holistic. I mean, when you talk about environmental sustainability, because or kelestarian alam, because in actuality, I said that what people normally describe is a triple planetary crisis, of which climate change is only one part of it. And then you also have pollution, i.e., because it may not be contributing to climate change directly, but it harms our health. And then the other part is, of course, biodiversity loss. What's happening to our forests? What's happening to our our Malayan tiger? And jadi, when you look at that, I mean, some of it is interlinked. Climate change, the biodiversity loss and pollution, but not necessarily so. So I think this is a more holistic name for the ministry.
So you are the Madani government's Captain Planet.
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. I have a story about that, but
OIB, macam apa ni? The ministry, the things that you speak about are very important. Tapi in the current climate, dia macam tak sexy. How do you make your ministry sexier? I mean, a lot of old people who look at climate change ni macam but I have a personal experience. Before the last election, my daughter, the cohort, she's 22, 23, their group look at manifesto of parties that have climate change in them. So that means you punya past tak ada, because they don't recognize that.
Yeah.
So they voted based on looking at manifesto climate change. The young people is very tapi untuk orang yang lebih berusia, the climate change is not a
Maybe it's
existential threat.
Maybe it's a loss. For me, macam a lost cause pun ada. Bukan seksi je. Macam
So but how do
where do we start to
Well, there are dua, right? You have two sides. One are people who don't believe, right? Like the former president of the United States of America.
Could be the next one.
The
And the
next,
next one.
the next president of the United States.
And so one is that lah, the climate change deniers. But there's also the other side are people who think that it's too late. They hear all the horror stories and they say, well, it seems that we can't do much. I mean, how can we get macam-macam countries to come together and address this, right? And they are both wrong, right? One, climate change, the science is very clear. And I think of course, it's for us, it's our own experience. But the heat, right? I mean, give you a simple example. I never thought that heat was a major issue. It's like kita orang Malaysia. You know, heat is something that we are used to. But last year, we had 2 deaths that were detected from heat stroke. This year, 3. That's the ones that are detected. Banyak lagi, you know, but because sometimes they go in maybe as heart failure ke apa, but actually linked to heat, right? So that's one. We have falling trees, killing people. Right? Kena kat Ketua Menteri kecoh lah. But I mean, it's actually killing people. So tiger makan orang tu cerita lain. That's another part, right? So I think we know. I mean, that's less climate change lah. But if we are talking about falling trees, we're talking about heat strokes and all that. That's very real. And I think we actually can do something about it. There's still an opportunity. What scientists say, you know, if it's at most 2 degrees, ideally 1.5 degrees, if we can keep it there, then we have a fighting chance. Things will change, but we will most likely survive. We have a chance of survival. Right? Beyond that, then we don't know. But most importantly, if you look at the example of ozone layer, I think a lot of the younger people tak faham. But when I was growing up, Captain Planet punya time tu, that was that everyone saying we are not losing our ozone layer. But the world acted. No more CFC. And as a result, they predict within the next few years, it will start to repair
balik.
Okay, the ozone layer. Lead, plumbum, right? So lead was in our fuel, and the impact was very clear in terms of even IQ. People who are living in very polluted places, the IQ was low and all that. The world started to act. In 2021, Algeria became the last country to ban lead from fuel. So no more. So we have leaded leaded, dah tak ada dah. Right, so that again has a major impact. So I think, but this time, to be fair, is a bigger cause, and we need to do more.
Dia macam ni lah. Tadi kita kata macam Rocky cakap tadi, losing hope kan. My question is, macam mana kita nak bagi this awareness of this? Because I think we have the laws. Do we implement that? I know it's sometimes beyond your ministry. But I think it's education juga lah. There's an opportunity for you to educate a lot of people in the country about environment. Sekarang ni maybe kita ni, you must give credit to the government for having a climate change or sustainability ministry lah. But is that enough in terms of getting people excited about this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that the waste, of course, falls under Ministry of Local Government and Housing, KPKT. But of course, it's interlinked, right? Because plastic falls under me. So it's interrelated lah. And we do
So we don't have plastic bottle here, no?
So I think, yes, unfortunately for us, recycling rate is still low. There's a lot of challenges to that lah. So maybe, because we have too many men that are in power in the world. Okay, never mind. But I think the problem lies, right? Because we've heard the thing before, microplastics. I do ada some study. I mean, of course, we can dispute, but we know that in one form or another, we have microplastics in our body.
Yes.
In fact, it's in unborn babies. Dalam janin, right?
Oh yeah.
It's there. But I think hopefully we can act, because now that the man will realize, a new study said it's in the sperm. And it may be a cause of infertility. So maybe now then baru they take it seriously. I don't know lah, right? But I think that's how pervasive. It's 500 years. It can be in the environment as long as 500 years. So, you know, going back, it's like Portuguese baru sampai ke Melaka lah. Kan? I mean, that's how long that is.
Yeah, talk about slow swimmers. Yeah. See, this government, this Madani government, is on 7th gear. Priority to bring in investment. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering, in your Wednesday cabinet meeting, your weekly cabinet meetings, when it's your time to speak, do people like Zafro or Ame or Ngakome, you know,
Rafizi.
well, not Rafi. Do they like Rafizi? Do they like, you know? Here he goes again.
Well, I think if they do think that they are very good at hiding it, I think to be fair, I think a lot of them understand, you know, because we need, you know, I mean, Zafro came up with the NIMP, the new industrial master plan. You know, Raf was the one who drove the NETR, Energy Transition Roadmap. I worked together with him at that time.
Right.
You know, Ame also, you know, he came from TNB. What do you call that? Khazanah, so Petronas. So he understands the scenario. But I think it's also crucial that, you know, I just say that, you know, it has to be truly impactful. It's not about, we cannot greenwash, right? Because I think the issue is, I say, you know, people sometimes, like, even because, you know, subsidy reform, retargeting subsidies is not only more socially just, it's also good for the environment. Okay, but of course I know if I just talk about environment, it won't go far lah. But what I'm saying is, you know, I keep making the argument that we, at the end of the day, you know, they say, oh, the business ini will collapse. But I say, as long as some people, but not necessarily from the cabinet, but from outside.
Right.
But I said, as long we do it in a just, equitable manner, we try to do it as best as we can. But at the end of the day, we need a planet to begin with. So how do you have, you know, how do you get investment? Kalau at the end of the day, the planet doesn't need us. The planet, whatever happen, the danger is that we will be the meteor and we will be the dinosaur. We cause our own extinction, right? And the planet will go on in a funny form, or in different form. But we can't go on without the planet.
Do you have to speak like this in cabinet?
Yeah, I did. I spoke about this at the cabinet retreat.
But how did they take it?
We weren't like this, so I didn't. I didn't. But to be fair, I you know, I would say moderately concerned about the environment before. But when I became minister, obviously, I learned a lot more things and understand.
Because the success of your ministry, your agenda, what you are driving is heavily dependent on the buy-in of all your other cabinet colleagues.
Definitely, yeah.
So if they refuse or they do not prioritize what you're prioritizing, you know, then it will basically use you not meeting your KPI.
Yeah.
Although it is dependent on them to do so.
I can say, like, even like reforming tariffs, retargeting subsidies, right? When we start to do with electricity, we did with water. I think the last thing I did was to do the new water rates.
Right.
Pahang has never been increased for 40 years, right? So the good thing was that the PM was fully on board. And, you know, that helps a lot lah. So I can, you know, I think then everyone sort of came along and supported it.
Okay. This what do you call the climate change bill? You're going to table it in Parliament or table already?
No, not yet. So we are working on it. We started in mid 2023.
Okay.
And we've already started the engagement process. We've met with our advisory panel, which is mostly consists of MNCs, GLCs, and SMEs. We've also met with the consultative panel, which is the civil society, including the youth cluster.
The tree huggers.
Yes, tree huggers.
You're one yourself anyway.
Well, yes. So, but then we are starting the negotiations with the state governments. So we are hoping that the process can be completed next year for the climate change bill.
Okay.
I just have one last question on environment.
Mm.
You talk about assistance. We needing assistance just now. What about our corporate sector? Is our companies helping the government drive this sustainability, environmental issues? They have ESG, for example. Are they doing enough to attract investors based on ESG indicators?
I think they are, because if you look at, I think one of it, to the credit of Bursa Malaysia has been pushing, in terms of getting the all this ESG reporting, and Bursa obviously they did the Bursa Carbon Exchange. You can say, you can be cynical about some of the things, but I would say that from my engagement, a lot of them understand, and they accept even the UAE consensus, i.e., for the first time, everyone agreed that we have to transition away from fossil fuels. Before that, people mentioned coal, but no one spoke about fossil fuels as a whole. I think that's significant. And even, Petronas, they are working hard. If you see Jentari, and what they're doing, biodiversity and all that, it's real, because for them, they need also to sustain. I give you another example, because we are known to be a net gas exporter. If now we also, because of climate reasons, we said no new coal plants, because that's the dirtiest. But if we no new coal plants, and while our renewable energy tries to pick up, we are going to use more and more of our gas, which we already, some of it contracted to Japan and all that, and Petronas have to supply at a cheap rate to the IPPs, and we will be faced with, we will be a net gas importer. So Rafizi said that his biggest fear as the economic minister. So we need to address it. So whatever we have, because also people are transitioning away from, we can make it last as long as possible. It's like, you're in a hutan, you sesat, you ada makan, you want to, tak boleh lah makan sekaligus. You have to ration it, yes, until as long as possible.
So let's talk about your political journey so far. We have to talk about PKR politics. And okay, we have to talk about PKR politics. Okay, and many are saying, and even us as journalists, when we observe, it appears that the Achilles heel in the entire setup of the unity government, Malaysian government, is PKR. We're talking about political strength. We're talking about succession planning. It seems that PKR is behind compared to the other parties, and it's a bit of a conundrum, because you are the party that is actually leading the government through PMX. So can you basically explain to us what is going on in PKR in terms of the leadership transition?
One, I totally disagree, is that because this has been going on for a long time. The weakest link.
You've been fighting for a long time inside. No.
Well, that one is politics. It's normal, right? But I think whether people see or not, it's just a different thing across the different parties. different views, and it should be accommodated, right?
Right.
We remember the 22 long years. We couldn't do that, right? So I think, but of course, I understand, everything in moderation. But most importantly, what I know, because there's this long-standing myth of keadilan being the weakest link, even during the days of Pakatan Rakyat. Past DAP, then we have the weakest link is keadilan. So I would beg to differ, because kalau kita tengok, we have Datuk Sri Anwar, right, who's our PM now, but not many. I'm not talking about, obviously we don't know who's going to be the next president, deputy president. There's a process to it. This is a democratic party. But if you look at the line-up of senior leadership in keadilan, our deputy president, Rafizi, is only 47 this year. Then you have the vice presidents, Amiruddin, MB of Selangor. He's the most senior vice president. He is, then he's 44. Then you have Lee Kang, who's also about 44, Minister of Mosti.
Yeah.
I'm 42. Izzah is 44. Lebih kurang lah.
Okay.
Then you have Fadlina, I think she's about 46. You don't have that in any other party. Well, maybe my friend Syed Sadiq's party lah. Maybe yang tu betul-betul muda lah, but fine. With all due respect, but I'm talking about the party in the ruling in government right now, the big parties. You don't get that, and I think that's a luxury, and because we were put into or pushed into the deep end of the pool in when 2008 mostly. Rafizi came in as MP at 2013. So super young age. And another thing, okay, people say okay lah, tu dulu. Today the 4 youngest MPs in Dewan Rakyat, right? We have Dr. Taufik Sungai Petani. We have Prabhakaran, the formerly youngest, now he's second youngest from Batu. We have Syed Sadiq from Muar, and we have CM Chew from Miri. 3 out of 4 are from Keadilan, and you have 1 Malay, you have 1 Indian, and 1 Chinese. So very Ali Acong Mutu punya ni. 1 from Sarawak lagi.
Right.
So you don't get that in another party. So I think I'm not saying that we are perfect. I'm not saying that there are no differences of opinion. But I think as far as Keadilan is concerned, we know we have no excuse. Because even in 2018, we could say that it is Mahathir's government, right? We were in that cabinet, but we can give an excuse lah if we wanted to. We have ministers, obviously. But now, we can't because this is Anwar Ibrahim's government. So as Keadilan, the party that was formed from that incident in 1998, we have to make this work. And everyone, I can see, understand that. Whether, and of course, Saifuddin is also another very senior party leader. So I think that is what will happen in the party elections, ke apa, bila, that one is, that one is above my pay grade lah. What will happen, I don't know, because that one no one can predict. But I think that one thing is that we understand that we need to make this work. But we want to build the party even bigger. One of the things we did, I pushed for was the fellow Keadilan, where during the party 25th anniversary, we are having a program basically to bring party members who are between the age of 22 to 40, whether they are professionals or activists, but who we think they can go further up, like future leaders of the party. Because kalau nak go through the normal process, it may be a bit difficult. Because now the cabang, dulu I had 20 people in the kedai mamak. Now I have 5,000 in Setiawangsa, right? So to go up is not so straightforward. So you need this process to push through, because or not, you are just creating political warlords. You can't bring in professionals. And this tend to happen after a party gets matured after a certain number of years.
But ini persepsi Keadilan ni, parti ni tak stabil. Parti ni suka baloh.
Gotcha.
Suka gocor. Azmin gocor dengan Anwar, Tian Chua kena pekon botol. Lalu ni Rafizi pula duk gocor dengan buah. So the persepsi tu,
Is it okay?
is that the perception that we think this is a party of fighter corps.
Terence dia orang Kelantan memang suka gaduh.
Memang kita suka gocor pun.
But dia yes, there have been incidents. Okay. Tapi I think bagaimana kita address benda ni, kan? One is that Keadilan kita ada pemilihan parti 1 anggota 1 undi. Challenging, yes. We've started since 2010. We've developed, we improved. And now I think we've come up to this equilibrium yang mana hanya pimpinan kanan, presiden, timbalan, naik presiden, dan similar for angkatan muda dan wanita dipilih 1 anggota 1 undi. We have 1 juta ahli, semua berhak untuk mengundi, okay? Tetapi we have MPP, which is Majlis Pimpinan Pusat, 20 orang yang tu dipilih daripada what you call that, through perwakilan in Congress, right? Perwakilan cabang. I do think that kita perlu perbaiki beberapa perkara. Contohnya, kita mungkin kena tengok bagaimana nak memastikan ada representasi wanita lebih terjamin. Because Keadilan antara paling awal bercakap perwakilan 30% untuk wanita. But nak harap secara organik, we see what happens throughout the world. You have to push through benda-benda ni. But anyway, what I'm saying is that this helps to address partly. The other part, I think, is people cannot confuse difference of opinion with disunity. Masing-masing, I think we express our views I think some of our non-keadilan colleagues, when they see how we, but it's very respectful. You know, I think tengok ucapan Rafizi, tengok ucapan Saifuddin, they've all, you know, mentioned, put credit to PM. They've mentioned where, so there's no issue of ni. Rafizi and Saifuddin also, I think, you know, the relationship, they go a long way back. Lepas Rafizi diumumkan pemenang, immediately Saifuddin came up with a statement. So I think Zamir Azmin tu susah sikit lah, payah sikit. Tapi with all due credit, he's a friend. But I think you know, we have gone through that path. So kita lebih stabil. And I think we are you know, we are in terms of number of members, kita lepas UMNO, lepas PAS is keadilan.
So how are we supposed to see the recent reshuffle in the state leadership with your removal as the head of Kelantan Terengganu and Rafizi's removal as the head of
saja nak pergi kocok lah.
WP? Kocok ni.
No, I think no, because there's no major issue because it was a very unique situation. Lepas pemilihan Parti 2022, immediately kita tahu ada PRU coming soon. Okay? So apa yang dibuat, there was an unusual decision yang mana kepimpinan negeri bagi semua parti, semua negeri di Semenanjung, each normally dia pilih daripada mana-mana yang dipikir layak oleh presiden parti selepas berunding dengan ketua-ketua cabang negeri tersebut. Okay, so kalau Kelantan dia kena jumpa lah oleh Tanah Merah, oleh Gua Musel, oleh Kota Baru. Kalau cry. But that time PM discuss, tapi PM rasakan tu stabilkan keadaan because baru pemilihan nak pergi PRU. Okay. Lepas pula parti pecah during Sheraton. Jadi PM decide timbalan dengan naib-naib akan pegang negeri-negeri. Okay, so macam saya diberi Kelantan, okey lah juga sebab ni dan Terengganu kan, dua negeri. Rafizi diberi Johor and wilayah. Izzah Perlis, Kedah, Pulau Pinang, Likang, Perak dan sebagainya. Amir, Pahang dan Selangor dan Aminuddin Negeri Sembilan dan Melaka. But dan memang dibincang, dia kata bila keadaan dah lepas tu kita akan susun balik. And sekarang kami semua ni kalau macam Amin, Amir, mereka MB. Saya, Likang, Rafizi, kami menteri kabinet. So memang we cannot carry, tak mampu nak buat lagi. And saya cabang Setiawangsa kat KL. I'm also ketua cabang. So PM felt that now, and macam mana nak itulah kalau kita kecek Kelantan bunyi sial, tak okay, saya nak tanding Kelantan. So we have to develop new leaders. So we bring in new leaders, jadi pengerusi, jadi timbalan, dan disusun balik MPN negeri. So I think nothing unusual. People are just saja.
So how is this relationship perhubungan Rafizi dengan PMX?
Tak puas hati juga.
That's the hot.
It's very, I mean, it's good. I mean, they're
You
working
must
well.
understand the concern because you're not just any party.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are the
yeah.
party in leading this current
Understand,
government.
and we are also conscious of that. But I think there's no issue in the sense that there, like I said, you can see how Rafizi's statements and all that. Are we the type who, you know, we are not a feudal conservative party. No, we are very different. I mean, that's how keadilan was formed, right? And I think we should keep that tradition. Tetapi hubungan tu bagi saya very good. You know, I think Rafizi is working hard. He's working too hard, right? To make sure that we are able to deliver on the reforms that we promised. We want to bring PM to the next election and get him to win that election. So Rafizi working hard even to work with Barisan Nasional, with GPS, GRS. You know, ni memang ialah macam nikah tapi tak ada gawe. For those who are not Kelantanis, berkahwin tapi tak sempat berdating. But we do that because we know the need to do that, right? So macam so I think like first time saya masuk cabinet room, tengok pelik lah juga kan, macam tiba-tiba sebelah Lok is Zahid Hamidi. Lepas ni Fadilah. But I remember the first meeting pun we said we have to make this work after kerajaan dah lalu so many things in the 2018-2022. Rakyat expect nothing less than to make this work for this 5 years.
Nik, you kena faham Terence ni dia cucu. Dia cucu
Dia orang
ni,
Azmin?
dia trik lama ni.
Oh, sila lama.
Dia punya trik lama. Dia dulu kita our name was the good, bad and ugly. You know, he's always the bad one lah.
Okay.
You know, just
The ugly one.
memang bad and ugly kan. Bad and ugly.
Dia sapu dua-dua.
Tapi in my interesting dia I suka cara Terence bertanya pasal attack you on what's happening in keadilan, because I keep reminding myself keep waiting whether you are going to push or bring out the UMNO punya gaduh juga. Because tradisi in UMNO bergaduh presiden, deputy presiden belum kelihatan lagi di dalam keadilan lah. But it could go that way.
Yeah.
Dan kalau memang the perception is there lah. Saya setuju. But nowhere as exciting
But the perception is far from reality lah. Yang as far as the president.
Yeah. Because I remember that banyak cerita timbul lepas reshuffle pengerusi-pengerusi negeri. But in fact dah reshuffle tu first round dah berlaku a few months back. Dan memang dikatakan because again under perlembagaan parti, presiden kena berbincang dengan ketua-ketua cabang, and sekarang presiden kita is, as you said, Perdana Menteri. Jadi nak cari masa dan sebagainya tu agak mencabar. So the settled first round was Perlis, Kedah, Pulau Pinang, Perak, Selangor, Selangor ya. Yang disettle lah. I think Negeri Sembilan and Melaka. So balance tu baru buat. So nothing totally ni memang yang disebut ialah untuk membolehkan in our discussion. I wasn't surprised.
Actually satu lagi, PKR ni unik because it's a multiracial party kan. DAP is also multiracial party like
No, it's not.
So but ada setengah orang cakap the multiracial party ni macam nak extinct lah sebab because where the politics now is very polarized, race based, walaupun dulu now it's getting to be the other PN is more Malay centric almost entirely. So PKR is one holding the multiracial punya ni, but how much of it is reflected in the party punya membership and also in the leadership?
Very much. Kita sekitar 50% Melayu, 25% India, 15% Cina, dan balance tu I think 10% is Bumiputra, Sabah, Sarawak. So it's a very good ni, but betul tak mudah. Ada risiko bahawa parti-parti like this boleh di squeeze. You know, I mean, we also see like macam Ramasamy and all that trying to go one way. Of course PN satu lagi. And then orang kita pula rasa we are trying to moderate too much. Benda-benda ni we have to balance. It's not easy, right? So I think but we have to stick to our principles. Saya percaya ada orang selalu nak mencari alternatif. I respect, I mean, we know that race-based parties have been strong in the country, but there have always been attempts daripada awal. From in fact AMCJA Putra, kiri, golongan kiri, they created the first multiracial alliance. And then kita ada pula UMNO, but then dia buat pula IMP. IMP. Dato' On dia nak try buka UMNO pada semua. Ini kat kanan lah. Nak buka UMNO pada semua kaum, ditolak oleh parti. Then he went to form IMP. Later benda tu tak berjaya, dia buat parti negara Muslim Malay. But there has been a time you have Parti Rakyat, Parti Buruh, Perkemas, Tan Chee Kun, right? I mean, this is all history lah. But there and like Tan Chee Kun, he understood dia nak try tarik Ahmad Bostaman. He sees a multiracial party kena dipimpin oleh Melayu for it to be mainstream. Tapi yelah, maybe the time wasn't right. But reformasi, it created that, and that was what drew me. I mean, for me, it was something that I was really looking for. When I meet people, there's still people like that, and people who really believe that multiracial politics is the way forward. Because if you're a party of only one race, the problem, and this happens in other parties juga. I mean, like in UK, to win over the votes, you want to be terpaling Melayu. Okay, or terpaling India or terpaling China lah.
Mm.
Tetapi or terpaling Sabah, terpaling Sarawak, whatever lah, you know, if it's very sectoral but sectional. In keadilan, with that sort of makeup, and we know there are chais. Let's face a fact. Almost every party election ada chai menu. Ni menu Rafizi, ni menu Azbin contohnya. Semua menu tu ada India, ada China, ada ni. So tak ada menu Melayu, tak ada menu ni. So that to me is a great success lah. So is it easy? No. But I think we have to make it work if we want to show to people that multiracial politics can offer something different.
Yeah.
I mean, Datuk Seri Anwar is the first PM from a multiracial party, because even Tun and then Muhyiddin, they were from Bersatu.
Yeah.
Kan? So this is the first time actually PM datang dari parti pelbagai kaum.
So the perception is, unfortunately, is that now that you've attained power, attained Putrajaya, the perception is that has changed. You need to pander a bit more for your political longevity. You need to pander a bit more to the Malays. And the Indians especially used to be the fixed deposit of PKR. Doesn't seem to be the case anymore, and you know why? Because of, you know, they feel they've been getting the short end of the stick with this administration. You see, I mean the lack of Tamil speaking Hindu ministers is one, and something as simple as, you know, we had an Indian boy who's become an OKU because kena jumpa panas for 3 hours, and Falina hasn't even stepped down to go or send anybody to go and see the kid, and this resonates with the Indian community, which maybe the other communities don't really appreciate. So it seems that PKR is abandoning their fixed deposit.
I think what I can say is, I mean, I understand that is something that we have to address. Like we cannot take any constituent for granted, right? Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of numbers, we're actually the biggest Indian party in Malaysia in terms of membership. Because
More than MIC.
Yeah. That's what we were told lah. But anyway, I think I understand that. I mean, I understand. But like Indian issue, my first constituency, Sri Satya, it was 28% at that time. Indian. In another era or another time, because kebetulan waktu tu calon dia UMNO kat situ traditionally.
Yes.
But in another place, that's more than MIC, sometimes 20% or less pun dah dapat seat. Yeah? But so when I know, I mean, I assume bertanding ni, I mean, takkan menang. Yeah, before that, Kak Dil had 1 seat. So when I contested there, then suddenly the first places I won was Deseria dan Glenmary. And Glenmary, don't think about the bungalows, it's the estate yang Ahmad
Estate,
tu.
Glenmary Estate.
So I understand, and of course, you know, particularly, I mean, Chinese community ada concern dia, orang Sabah, orang Sarawak ada concern dia, we need to address. But the Indians in particular, you know, because they face the challenge of not just being a political minority, but also an economic, not just an economic minority, like maybe, you know, orang Bumi Putra is, but also a political minority. So I think we have to tread and address it. I'm not saying that all the things that what the opposition or critics say are true, but I think we have to go down. We have to address.
No, Nik, I'm Indian. I feel it.
Communicate.
I feel
Okay.
it. I'm Indian.
Yeah. I can understand. So I think that's the thing, and I think I totally agree that how we communicate, how we reach out, is crucial, right? And is that thing lah. I mean, we need to address the Malay concerns. Why? Because at the end of the day, Malay is the fastest growing. I mean, you can't rule without winning
The
over the
majority.
Malay vote, and we did not win the Malay vote in 2022. Okay, and we start. I mean, overall, but generally we have always done well with the urban Malay areas. We still do well, but there are pockets of concern.
Sure.
And the second party is no longer Barisan Nasional in many areas at that time. It was PN. So I think we need to address that. But we have to do that in a way without abandoning our party ideals lah. Which is, you know, it's not easy, but it's something that being a multiracial party, you have to make it work.
Because what I get, what we get from, say, DAP and PKR, maybe not as holistically as a party, but maybe certain leaders, is that, okay, so you're not happy with PKR and DAP, okay, then you go vote for PN lah. You know, so that is the comeback. When we
Which
say
is a stupid. I mean, I can say.
memang bodoh apa?
Yeah.
Bangang.
So you should never say that to a voter, because you cannot win. It's never good to win by virtue of the voter having no other choice.
Yes.
Right? Because it's like a marriage not out of love. Kan? Tapi orang tu, your other spouse tak boleh pergi your spouse tak boleh pergi mana. Kan? So it's not going to last. It's not a happy one. So I think we have to kena pujuk balik. So I mean it's clear. You have to have people have. I mean people can understand. I don't think like there's certain things people understand why we have to do it. Right? You know, and you know, so again, we are not. We don't have our party is no party won a majority in the last election.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to make this work. We also found what happened in between 2020 to 2022, the Sheraton and tukar kerajaan. We understand that, but that doesn't give us an excuse for us not to be humane or not to be just. We are not civil servants. We are politicians. We should be making policies. We shouldn't be just tak boleh buat yang ni. Kalau benda tu tak boleh, we have to make it work lah.
So this current coalition, is it a marriage of convenience, or is this where we are heading?
There are many happy marriages
Yeah.
where the couples do not date. My parents did not date. They are happily married. 60 years. Yeah, over 60 years.
Yeah.
So
There you
And
go.
there are also rapists who have
I mean-
to marry their victims. So,
no, but the focus, I think, what the people expect is to
Yeah.
make it work until the end of term.
Yes.
I think that's the focus for us.
Yeah.
I mean, give, we shouldn't be. I think Malaysia is actually doing very well. I was in Thailand.
Right.
They were saying, how come we can't attract all these investments? They
dia bagi golok kau.
okay, I know. Bangkok.
Oh, Bangkok.
To dangerous connotation. So when I went there, they were very envious of what we've achieved. When I was during COP, PM could not go, but the King went, and we had one of the biggest delegations. I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about overall lah, private semua. So people are actually very excited about Malaysia, and I think we haven't heard that a long time. And I think to the credit of Tun Mahathir as well. There's only been two. I think Tunku to a certain extent, Tun Razak as well. Tunku started with the apartheid, although he's a very Anglophile guy. He raised it in Commonwealth against South Africa. Of course, Tun Mahathir, we know his battles at the international stage, and now you have PM. And at the same time, he's raising the Palestinian issue, and you have all these big American MNCs coming investing. So I think we are standing up for our principles without losing. We are standing up for our principles, and we are still being able to be a competitive country economically. I think that's something we've done well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that macam bila kita punya YB datang ni kan, for me it's always interesting to find out, because he, like I said, been in the party for a long time. Obviously kita nak tanya lah, what's the long time, the end game for you apart from public service lah. Public service, there's the highest level of public service. So what's your you punya ambition in politics?
Baru nak cakap run a football club and own a bookstore. Okay. I don't know. I'm this. I don't know. I did law degree, tak ada CLP. So
Tunku
I
got
don't
a
have a
CLP at
master's.
60 something not. Lepas dia pension from Prime Minister, baru dia ambil dia punya bar.
CLP.
Dia punya bar.
So I did to go into academia. I didn't do my masters or whatever.
So you're stuck into politics.
Well, I think
Public
this is
service.
and I entered this. I worked for my sponsors PNB for less than 6 months. September to about May, 2005 to 2006. Then PM called me up and asked me to join him, and I joined when I was 24. Paid off my bond eventually. And then suddenly 2 years later menang election. So and I've been very blessed and fortunate.
Yeah.
If my first election was 2004, then probably I'll be owning a football club right now.
So 2005 PM call you out.
Yes.
We were
it's 2006,
that was during the time we were fellow bloggers.
Okay.
YB Nik ni dulu kita kenal sebagai blogger. Dia menulis yang masa tu masa tu kerajaan benci blogger. So how did the PM get to know? Or
No,
get to
actually,
know
I
you?
was already helping the party since Rafizi brought me in. This is the MCKK mafia lah.
Lah.
So I was
Okay.
already involved.
Tak boleh lah.
PM was in jail lah.
Right.
So and I wrote a letter to him.
Hmm.
Actually, I wanted an excuse to write a letter to him, but then I kononnya nak apply to Oxford for masters, and dia baik dengan Chris Patton.
Chris Patton, yeah.
But dia pun bagi jawapan politik lah. Dia kata, you study hard, get good results, and I can recommend you lah. But that was the first time, you know, I think Izzah briefed him. I was close to Izzah. I'm close to Izzah. So dia brief what I did before. I did like website, Suara Anom. So so PM knew. I like write. To be fair, my first passion is writing, more than politics. I was published in Malaysia Kini when I was 19.
Yes.
And got into trouble.
Yeah.
So then Rafizi saw my writing. He knew me. We were already new. Then he saw that politically dia ni quite
Sama.
left lah.
Quite
Kan?
left lah.
So he wrote me in lah.
Sama pala lah.
So if you are still writing today, YB,
Hmm.
what would you think about the 3R thing that has been put in place? And last week,
It's
I
not
think
reduce, reuse, recycle lah.
I thought it was rakyat. But it's different, especially now that we've very interesting things happening in the south.
I think what I can say, one is that we need to protect our institutions. But I mean, Malaysia is a constitutional monarchy and it's a parliamentary democracy. That is the core lah. And we need. I don't think that we should allow disparaging like to the point of dragging the country into problems
yeah.
and chaos lah. But we have to do it in a way carefully as well lah, because we've known that there's been a lot like legislations in the past where in Parliament PM or Home Minister say, we're doing this just and we will after this, I think ISA to address communist
Right.
ni kan, but then it was used for other things. So I think those are things that we need to be wary of. We realize that, and we have a lot of we I think PM is aware of that. I mean, he's paid the price for he's tasted ISA. And I think there is we just need to tread it carefully, and whatever it is, protect the values of our constitution lah. I totally agree. Legislation against racial and religious hatred or something, right? But again, how do you draft it and how do you administer it? Kan, lawyers, they're always creative in that sense. So that has to be put and discussed thoroughly. We need to engage. Kalau boleh, we get every party beyond the unity government as well to be together. And I think being a parliamentary democracy is a core part of our value.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay, Babi. Thanks a lot for coming again. Don't be strangers. Ada lagi.
Dah macam hard talk dah ni.
No, but we are thankful very much. Thanks very much for coming over, giving support. I think at the end of the day, I think I personally, Rocky and Terence, would be interested in following your career path. I think that's
Your
very
journey.
interesting. Yeah. So yeah, good luck in your government in making us all healthier, safer in the
And
environment,
more prosperous.
more prosperous, and good luck in your political journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Thanks, Nick.
Boleh jumpa lagi.
Jumpa
Jumpa
lagi.
lagi.
Good
Jumpa
luck.
lagi.
Jumpa Sokmo.
Good luck in keeping this country together.
Trik Lama.